Hello everyone. I'm so happy you could be here today at Reading Corner because again, I have some really fun books to read to you. First of all, we have a book called Monkey Puzzle, and it's about a little monkey who gets lost and he's trying to find his mum, and the butterfly is trying to help him but gets very confused and keeps getting little monkey even more lost. Then we have another book from the Beatrix Potter collection, and it's called The Tale of Squirrel Nutkin. And it's about a little squirrel who is very naughty and very rude. And we'll read about what happens to him. And then our last book is called Annie's Chair. And this is another one from my friends, Audrey and Caleb. And this is about a little girl called Annie and how she has her very own special chair. And we'll see what happens in that story. So let's start with Monkey Puzzle. I've lost my mum. Hush, little monkey, don't you cry. I'll help you find her, said Butterfly. Let's have a think. How big is she? She's big, said the monkey. Bigger than me. Bigger than you? Then I've seen your mum. Come, little monkey, come. No. That's an elephant. My mum isn't a great grey hunk. She hasn't got tusks or a curly trunk. She doesn't have great, big, thick, baggy knees. And anyway, her tail coils round trees. She coils round trees? Then she's very near. Quick, little monkey, she's over here. No. That's a snake. Mum doesn't look a bit like this. She doesn't slither about and hiss. She doesn't curl round a nest of eggs. And anyway, my mum's got more legs. It's legs we're looking for now, you say. I know where she is then. Come, this way. No. That's a spider. Mum isn't black and hairy and fat. She's not got so many legs as that. She'd rather eat fruit than swallow a fly. And she lives in the treetops, way up high. She lives in the trees? You should have said. Your mummy's hiding above your head. No. That's a parrot. Mum's got a nose and not a beak. She doesn't squawk and squabble and shriek. She doesn't have claws or feathery wings. And anyway, my mum leaps and springs. Aha, I've got it. She leaps about. She's just round the corner, without a doubt. No. That's a frog. Butterfly, please don't joke. My mum's not green and she doesn't croak. She's not all slimy. Oh dear, what a muddle. She's brown and furry and nice to cuddle. Brown fur? Why didn't you tell me so? We'll find her in no time. Off we go. No. That's a bat. Why do you keep on getting it wrong? Mum doesn't sleep the whole day long. I told you she's got no wings at all. And anyway, she's not nearly so small. Your mum's not little. Now let me think. She's down by the river having a drink. No. That's the elephant again. Butterfly, can't you see? None of these creatures looks like me. You never told me she looked like you. Of course I didn't. I thought you knew. Well, I didn't know. I couldn't. You see, none of my babies look like me. So she looks like you. Well, if that's the case, we'll soon discover her hiding place. No. That's my dad. Come, little monkey, come. It's time I took you home to Mum. The end. Poor Butterfly got very confused, didn't he? all the descriptions, but they got there in the end and Monkey got home to his mum safely. So now we're going to read The Tale of Squirrel Nutkin. Some of you might have even heard this one before or have this book at home. And if you do, feel free to just open up your book and read along. You can even sing the little riddles with me if you want. This is a tale about a tale that belonged to a little red squirrel, and his name was Nutkin. He had a brother called Twinkleberry and a great many cousins. They lived in a wood at the edge of the lake. In the middle of the lake, there is an island covered with trees and nut bushes, and amongst those trees stands a hollow oak tree, which is the house of an old owl who is called Old Brown. One autumn, when the nuts were ripe and the leaves on the hazel bushes were golden and green, Nutkin and Twinkleberry and all the other little squirrels came out of the wood and down to the edge of the lake. They made little rafts out of twigs and they paddled away over the water to Owl Island to gather nuts. Each squirrel had a little sack and a large oar and spread out his tail for a sail. They also took with them an offering of 3 fat mice as a present for Old Brown and put them down upon his doorstep. Then Twinkleberry and the other little squirrels each made a low bow and said politely, "Old Mr. Brown, will you favour us with permission to gather nuts upon your island?" But Nutkin was excessively impertinent in his manners. He bobbed up and down like a little red cherry, singing, riddle me, rot, tot, tot, a little wee man in a red coat, staff in his hand and a stone in his throat. If you tell me this riddle, I'll give you a groat. Now, this riddle is as old as the hills, and Mr. Brown paid no attention whatever to Nutkin. He shut his eyes obstinately and went to sleep. The squirrels filled their little sacks with nuts and sailed away home in the evening. But next morning, they all came back to Owl Island, and Twinkleberry and the others brought a fine fat mole and laid it on the stone in front of Old Brown's doorway and said, "Mr. Brown, will you favour us with your gracious permission to gather some more nuts?" But Nutkin, who had no respect, began to dance up and down, tickling old Mr. Brown with a nettle and singing, "Oh, Mr. B, riddle me ree, hitty-pitty within the wall, hitty-pitty without the wall. If you touch hitty-pitty, hitty-pitty will bite you." Mr. Brown woke up suddenly and carried the mole into his house. He shut the door in Nutkin's face. Presently, a little thread of blue smoke from a wood fire came up from the top of the tree, and Nutkin peeped through the keyhole and sang, "A house full, a hole full, and you cannot gather a bowl full." The squirrels searched for nuts all over the island and filled their little sacks. But Nutkin gathered oak apples, yellow and scarlet, and sat upon a beech stump playing marbles and watching the door of old Mr. Brown. On the 3rd day, the squirrels got up very early and went fishing. They caught 7 fat minnows as a present for Old Brown. They paddled over the lake and landed under a crooked chestnut tree on Owl Island. Twinkleberry and 6 other little squirrels each carried a fat minnow, but Nutkin, who had no nice manners, brought no present at all. He ran in front singing, "The man in the wilderness said to me, 'How many strawberries grow in the sea?' I answered him as I thought good, 'As many red herrings as grow in the wood.'" But old Mr. Brown took no interest in riddles, not even when the answer was provided for him. On the 4th day, the squirrels brought a present of 6 fat beetles, which were as good as plums in plum pudding for Old Brown. Each beetle was wrapped up carefully in a dock leaf, fastened with a pine needle pin. But Nutkin sang as rudely as ever, "Oh, Mr. B, riddle me ree, flower of England, fruit of Spain, met together in a shower of rain, put in a bag tied round with a string. If you tell me this riddle, I'll give you a ring," which was ridiculous of Nutkin because he had not got any ring to give to Old Brown. The other squirrels hunted up and down the nut bushes, but Nutkin gathered robin's pin cushions off a briar bush and stuck them full of pine needle pins. On the 5th day, the squirrels brought a present of wild honey. It was so sweet and sticky that they licked their fingers as they put it down upon a stone. They had stolen it out of a bumblebee's nest on the tippity top of the hill. But Nutkin skipped up and down singing, hum-a-bum, buzz, buzz, hum-a-bum, buzz. As I went over Tipple-tine, I met a flock of bonny swine, some yellow napped, some yellow backed. They were the very bonniest swine that e'er went over Tipple-tine. Old Mr. Brown turned up his eyes in disgust at the impertinence of Nutkin, but he ate up the honey. The squirrels filled their little sacks with nuts, but Nutkin sat upon a big flat rock and played 9 pins with a crabapple and green fir cones. On the 6th day, which was Saturday, the squirrels came again for the last time. They brought a new laid egg in a little rush basket as a last parting present for Old Brown. But Nutkin ran in front, laughing and shouting, Humpty Dumpty lies in the deck with a white counterpane round his neck. 40 doctors and 40 rights cannot put Humpty Dumpty to rights. Now, old Mr. Brown took an interest in eggs. He opened one eye and shut it again, but still he did not speak. Nutkin became more and more impertinent. Oh, Mr. B, hickamo, hackamo, on the king's kitchen door, all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't drive hickamo, hackamo off the king's kitchen door. Nutkin danced up and down like a sunbeam, but still Old Brown said nothing at all. Nutkin began again. Arthur O'Bower has broken his band. He comes roaring up the land. The King of Scots with all his power cannot turn Arthur of the Bower. Nutkin made a whirring noise to sound like the wind, and he took a running jump right onto the head of Old Brown. Then all at once there was a flutterment and a scufflement and a loud squeak. The other squirrels scuttered away into the bushes. When they came back very cautiously, peeping round the tree, there was Old Brown sitting on his doorstep, quite still with his eyes closed, as if nothing had happened. But Nutkin was in his waistcoat pocket. This looks like the end of the story, but it isn't. Old Brown carried Nutkin into his house and held him up by the tail, intending to skin him. But Nutkin pulled so very hard that his tail broke in two, and he dashed up the staircase and escaped out of the attic window. And to this day, if you meet Nutkin up a tree and ask him a riddle, he will throw sticks at you and stamp his feet and scold and shout, the end. He was a very, very naughty squirrel, very lucky that he got away with only breaking his tail. Yes, and he obviously well and truly learned his lesson, which is a good thing. Now, our last book is called Annie's Chair. This is Annie, and this is her chair. It's been Annie's chair ever since she was tiny. Annie loves her chair. She can curl up and read her books or watch TV. She can play with her toys or hide. She can be a fairy queen or bounce when no one is looking. Sometimes Annie just likes to sit and think. No one is allowed on Annie's chair. Not Mum, not Dad, and definitely not her big brother Jack. Jack can be a pest. I want to sit in your chair, he teases. No, it's my chair, Annie says for the millionth time. Today, Annie was boiling mad. Someone was sitting in her chair. It was Benny. Get off my chair, roared Annie. Benny opened one eye. Get off my chair, Benny. Benny yawned. Get off my chair now. Benny stretched. I'm counting 1, 2, 3. Benny snored. Annie shook her chair. She pushed it and pulled it. She stamped and she yelled. Benny took no notice. Annie tried tickling his paws. Benny did not budge. Annie tried lifting him. Benny held on tight. Annie tried whispering in his ear, want a biscuit? Let's chase Callisto. And his favourite word, walkies? All Benny said was, harumph, and he rolled over and closed his eyes. There was only one thing left for Annie to do. Because Annie was sad. Benny cried too. He jumped off the chair and gave Annie a big lick to cheer her up. Annie gave Benny a big hug to cheer him up. It's my chair, Benny, Annie told him. Never ever sit on my chair again without me. The end. So it's good that both Annie and Benny can share the chair. Do you have something that's just your special place? Maybe it's a chair like Annie. Maybe it's a cushion. Maybe it's a little spot in a cubby house or a comfy corner of the room. Well, I hope you enjoy sitting in your little special spot and reading books or sitting and having a think or sitting maybe with one of your pets or playing with your toys. But whatever it is, I hope that you have lots of fun doing that today. Thanks so much for coming to Reading Corner, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again next time when I'm going to have some more great books to share with you. Until then, you take care. Bye for now.